Real news. True, honest, and not fake news.
This week has been capsulated by the Hurricane Harvey. That's been the big headline all throughout the week. So we're going to start off by talking about Hurricane Harvey a bit. I'm not going to get too much into it. It's probably just going to be for the first half of the show here because the media has done enough work on talking about the hurricane. So I'm just going to talk about maybe some stuff they haven't really reported, maybe some stuff that's interesting that I found. I've been following it as closely as I could. Sadly, I've been very busy, so I haven't been able to look as much. But unfortunately, 50 people have been, as of today, confirmed dead from the hurricane. Again, this is an absolutely tragic storm. I don't know anybody family-wise from Texas, but I did have a roommate who's from Texas. I don't know if he's in the area. I better check up, see how his family's doing, because it's absolutely, you've all seen the pictures online. It's absolutely flooded these areas like crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's just been like some of the, it literally looks like the ocean like just went right into the town of Houston or Austin, wherever's in that area. Houston, sorry. But it's been, dramatic, epic in scale. I mean, they've gotten I think 40 or 50 inches of rain. It's been insanity. Of course, Katrina was crazy, but Katrina didn't have the size or the amount of rainfall this did. But Texas, as people forget, has been through a drought, which I was always wondering, is a drought going to be, is that going to be really bad in the future? Because now the ground's not moist. It's really solid and dry that if you have a lot of rain that there's going to be massive flooding. Well, it looks like that's what's happened. President Trump has said today that he's going to work with Congress to get $8 billion in aid to Hurricane Harvey victims in Texas. That's great to hear. I think it's about $7.9 billion, but it's $8 billion. $8 billion going in aid. Trump himself will personally donate $1 million. Now, I've seen some fake news. Yeah, ding, 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 fake news alert. We're going to keep doing that segment on this show because we're real news here. There were reports saying he's not going to donate the $1 million. That's a bunch of crap. Don't listen to the fake news, people. That is a bunch of crap. He is donating $1 million. That is still happening. But the White House has said that they're still trying to figure out, which charities they're going to deal with, how they're going to distribute it. They're doing their job of vetting it, doing it properly, because there's a lot of fraud going on, people, a lot of fraud. Be careful what you donate to. Donate to reputable charities or local charities that have a good reputation. I would steer clear of the Red Cross as much as they're a good charity, but I've heard there's been some problems there, but you can donate to them. I mean, it's fine. But I've just heard that they, the reason I say is because they don't put all the money toward necessarily what you, are thinking to do. If there's a donation saying give it to the Hurricane Harvey victims, there have been past situations where they haven't donated all the money there. I mean, they're still using the money for good purposes, obviously, but just keep knowing that. So if you want to steer clear from them for that reason, that's fine, whatever. But, just be careful of all the fraud. There's a lot of fraud going out there. There's a lot of scum that think they can, get rich by exploiting these victims of this terrible hurricane. That is just sickening. But that's the way the world works. It's dirty. It's rough. So be careful. But like I said, $8 billion in aid's going. Trump's going to give $1 million. That's no president's ever done that before. It's absolutely historic. I've never seen a president be so personal, so generous that he's going to donate $1 million of his own money to the hurricane victims. That's a man that loves his country, and that's really, really nice. Of course, he's got $10 billion, so people are like, oh, what's $1 million to him? Well, he could have given none. He's still not taking his salary. I mean, this is more than he would have made in his salary. He's giving away $1 million. That's great of him. It's really, really nice, really generous, and I appreciate that he does that. It shows to me that he actually cares. He's not going to just virtue signal, go down there, hug a few people, and then leave and treat him like crap like Bush did of Katrina, which was an utter disgrace. But thankfully, because of that disgrace, the government is super paranoid and doing it absolutely perfectly with no issues. So, bad situations bring out some good. And that's what's been so beautiful about this hurricane. It's, this hurricane brought the worst to Texas, but Texas brought out the best in themselves. The people have been amazing, wonderful, beautiful Americans were helping total strangers every single day. I mean, I was looking at the pictures, and there were like people of all races, all colors, all genders, all creeds going out there and just saving people. Like, I remember this one cool video where this guy, he's got his boat on his truck, and they're talking to him. He had a reporter, and he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And the guy, he's like this big, strong black guy. Like, he looked like a real cool guy. He goes, "We're gonna save some lives." I was like, yes, that's the American spirit right there. I mean, I've been so impressed by how Texans are responding to this tragedy. It is beautiful to see, like, because there are these photos of, like, like there's this one black firefighter guy or National Guard. Sorry about that. Forget who he was, but he was holding I think a white baby in his hands, and then there, of course, the flip side of that with a white guy holding a black baby in his hands, going through the flood wars. And it just shows, again, Americans don't care about your race. They care about your character. They care about you as a person. They care about your life. Identity politics has been totally flooded out with this hurricane. It's been washed out. That has been so beautiful to see, especially after the tragedy in Charlottesville, which to me showed identity politics on the left and the right coming head on in a violent clash, and that was just tragic. But now you are seeing people pull together, come together as one, and help one another. It's just been beautiful. I love it. Love it. Again, I wish we didn't have to have this happen. I wish we didn't have a hurricane, but the way we've been reacting to such a bad situation has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. And there was also this great video I encourage you all to check out online of this woman that was interviewed on CNN. And, she's with her kid. She just got out of the hurricane. She's been, like, through, heck and back. She's just seen it all. She's been through a terrible situation. And these CNN people are just going around like vultures, finding victims. Like, rah, rah, we want a news story. And they're coming around, they're trying to find them. And then they, I don't know if she accepted the interviews, because that's usually what you do with interviews. You have to accept it and then you do it. But she comes up to this one woman, just puts the microphone like right in her face, and it's like, there have been children like flowing down the streets and they're seeing all this tragedy. How does that make you feel? It was something along those lines, but I'm like, what the bleep are you saying to her? Oh my God. She's basically saying, like, there are all these people that have been dying. This flood war has been so bad. Like, how does that make you feel? These reports ask stupid freaking questions. I mean, this woman just witnessed the worst disaster of her life. Her house is probably filled with water, and you're asking her, how does it make you feel? Well, what do you think? I mean, jeez. Oh. And she unloaded on that reporter. She unloaded. She just went after, saying something along the lines of, we just been through our worst times, and you're coming around here asking us questions and exploiting this tragedy. And she was going off. She was cursing too, like she was dropping some F and H S bombs, and it was all on live TV. It was so great because they couldn't cut it out, they couldn't edit it. It just kept going live. It was wonderful. And right when the report, she complains to the reporter that she's doing this, the reporter goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," pulls the mic back, and then puts it right back in her face. What are you doing, you utter prick? The woman just told you how bad this was and how you've been exploiting them, and you apologize. And what's your response? Put the mic back into her face. That just shows that I understand these reporters. They gotta do their job. They gotta get footage. Gotta make their boss happy. They gotta look good. That's fine. But there is a line when someone tells you, "Don't interview me. Don't bother me. I've just been through the worst thing in my life. A hurricane just come through here, flood my house." You stay away from them. Listen, okay? Just make sure you look bad, because now this video's gone viral and people are talking about how scummy and mean CNN was to her. I'm not trying to pick on CNN. Okay, I am. But you get the point. I just wish they would be a little more respectful, courteous, and kind to these people. That's all I ask. Just be nice. Just be kind. Don't be a jerk, okay? And that wasn't the end of the snobby media being a bunch of pricks. Charlie Hebdo, who I thought was pretty bold and, unafraid when they did like their past magazine covers where like they do depictions of Muhammad and a bunch of like controversial topics like homosexuality, Islam, the war on terror, Israel. They had some pretty good magazine covers. Like they were top notch. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like they really grabbed your attention and they were provocative. That's where they were extremely provocative and extremely effective. I thought, good for them. Good for them for fully expressing their freedom of speech. And then, of course, tragically, their magazine headquarters got shot up by a bunch of terrorists, some radical Islamic terrorists that couldn't handle a freaking joke. But what they did recently is disgraceful. If you saw the cover was of Nazi salutes and Nazi flags coming out of the flood wars, obviously paralleling Hurricane Harvey. What are they trying to say? Are they saying Texans are all Nazis? Are you people out of your minds? Do you understand reality? Have you been seeing the pictures of all these great people of all colors, creeds, and genders saving one another? Like I said, it's been the most beautiful reaction to a tragedy I've ever seen. Of course, I'm young, but in my 19 years, it was beautiful, amazing. It showed the true colors of America, of the red, white, and blue that makes us Americans. And they have a cover of Nazi flags and Nazi salutes. What the heck is that? What are they trying to say? Are they saying that, are they making fun of these people that think they're all Nazis? Because I didn't think that was the point. They were making, labeling all these Texans as Nazis, as racists, as bigots. That is disgraceful, offensive, and frankly, I think they should be ashamed of what they did. But, like I said, they have the right freedom of speech. They have the right to say stuff. No matter how offensive it is, they can say it. I don't care. They can say what they did on this magazine cover. It's perfectly legit. The only problem is that I have with it is that it was just extremely distasteful. It was tasteless, classless, and very, very wrong. Again, they had the freedom of speech to do this. I'm not going to go down and shoot up their headquarters at all because guess what? I can handle it. I can move on and ignore it. What I'm just going to do is not buy their magazine. I may have never bought before, but I'm not going to buy it now because why support that? So again, that's how the free market sells it. That's how society and culture sells it. Just don't buy into it. Don't, if you disagree with them, tell them. We might learn something from it, okay? We might bring something good out of that. And to me, that's just a simple way to handle it. Don't go burning down, their headquarters or shooting it up or doing anything violent and disgraceful like that because all that does is make people angrier and it kills people. It hurts people. And that doesn't solve anything. That makes things worse, okay? Pretty straightforward stuff. But I had to rant on that because it really upset me that we were having this very patriotic moment as a country, this beautiful moment, people saving one another, pulling each other out of the flood wars and saving them on their sea-doos and their homemade boats. It was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is why I love this country because when you see stuff like that, there are good people out there. In fact, there are great people out there that truly love this country. And to see them taint them as Nazis is disgraceful because they're not. They're good people. They're not racist, as you could see. But what happened today also was really cool, too. Because, some people were complaining Trump didn't meet with the victims the last time he went down there. Okay, that's a somewhat legitimate complaint. But I think the reason he stayed out of the, not going to victims and flood wars, because it was just after this thing happened. It was just, becoming a tropical storm. So he thought he'd stay away, not get caught up in the recovery effort and make a disruption and slow things down, which I think is respectful of him. So today he went there, he talked to the press a bit, and it was just wonderful because he started handing out food, talking to all the people, taking selfies, cracking jokes, and really, really cute moments when he was in this one area and he's standing there talking to people, and this little girl, she's like, 5 or 6 or 3 maybe, runs right up to him and gives him a big hug, right on his legs and his, lower body. It was really cute, really beautiful, really nice. And then, of course, Trump hugged her back and lifted her up and gave her a nice big kiss on the head. So that was nice to see. And at one point, like when he was handing out the food, this was really funny. Like I don't know what he was doing because he just kind of gotten there. He's looking around, he's looking at stuff, and he might have been like picking some stuff up, and he just goes, "My hands are too big." I was laughing pretty hard at that one. It was pretty funny because everybody made Marco Rubio and a bunch were making fun of him. If his hands are small, something else is small. So Trump fired back in that debate. If my hands are small, then something else must be small. But I can guarantee you, there's no problem there. And everybody laughed, of course, at that debate. But that was great. Yeah, because I saw him make that joke. It was just funny because it just comes out of nowhere. Like I didn't see it coming, and he just delivers it well. It was a really beautiful, nice moment. So the energy in that room lifted up to 150 and beyond. The energy just exploded out of the room when he got there. Everybody was so happy to see him. They were crying. They were hugging him. They were overjoyed to see him. And they were taking selfies and having a great time meeting their president. And one beautiful moment in particular I saw on Twitter, there was one person that took a selfie with him, and she said that she didn't like him. She was not a fan of Trump. She didn't like him. But after that selfie and after meeting him, she said that she had totally changed. She liked the guy, and she actually, I think, is going to support him now. She said he was very kind and reassured her that everything's going to be okay. And that, to me, is a wonderful moment right there. Very powerful, very touching. That this woman, her views made it a complete 180 because he visited her and gave her a helping hand. So that was very nice to see. The last thing I want to touch on, because I got CNN's really making the headlines. There is a theory out there that CNN may have faked a recovery, a rescue effort of a person. Because you can look this up online. Google CNN stages rescue effort Hurricane Harvey, and you can judge it for yourself. But what I saw in the clip was there's this guy that's giving a report. He's got a red jacket on, okay? It's very important. And he's got khaki pants on. It's khaki shorts. He's got khaki shorts on. And they're filming live. They're doing a report. Then he hears somebody call him for help. He runs out of frame. The camera kind of jerks over to see him. And you can see him running with his khaki shorts. And then the camera cuts. And you see him pulling a guy out of I think it was like a pickup, or maybe it was a river. I forget. I'm sorry. You can look this up. And then when you see him doing that, he has black pants on. Like, what? CNN was saying that he, rescued this guy live, on air, like, in seconds. Did he change his pants in between this? I mean, what's going on? I was very confused by that, so we'll have to. I haven't heard any follow up on that, so I'd like to learn more about what's happening there. It's very bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Like his pants, I'm not kidding. His pants changed from khaki shorts to black pants. What's going on there? Is it like some other guy that's doing that? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, he had the mic on him, so it sounded like it was him there. I mean, I really don't get it. So they could have staged that. I don't know. You guys are going to have to look that up for sure to see what's going on there. I'm going to talk about now Antifa, or as some have said, the alt-left. I'm going to talk about this tragic, violent, fascist movement that has been sweeping America for the past 18 months. And the media has only been starting to talk about it for the past 2 weeks. Sort of. Kind of. I'll talk about that in a second. So, to give you some perspective, Antifa is a terrorist organization. Let's not sugarcoat this. They are a bunch of terrorists. And their slogan is, through any means possible. It's basically their slogan. And they recruit people and go out there and beat up fascists. That's what they think they're doing. They have slogans like bash the fash, punch a Nazi, and a bunch of others. And what they do is they dress all up in black. They go out in the streets with clubs, with M80s, with their fists, and start beating people up that they think are Nazis and that they think are fascists. This can be Trump supporters, this can be right-wingers, this can be left-wingers, this can be anybody, even actual Nazis. They've gone and attacked anyone that they don't agree with, basically. So Antifa really gained their headlines, I'd say, in about January 20th when Trump was inaugurated. Them and a bunch of anarchists were turning Washington, D.C. into a war zone. It was a war zone. They were throwing trash cans into Starbucks windows, beating the windows, beating up trash cans, which look pretty stupid, by the way. I mean, what do these people think they're going to accomplish by beating up a trash can? I'm not exaggerating. They were taking clubs. They were punching a trash can. A trash can! I mean, how dumb are these people? But they did that. They destroyed Washington, D.C. when Trump was inaugurated. Okay. Is that it, Sean? No, they've done even worse. What happened specifically was in Berkeley. Berkeley, the center of free speech, the free speech capital of America. This is where the kids protested Vietnam for peace and love. Had then brought in Milo Yiannopoulos, a conservative, provocative speaker. Fine, nothing a big deal there. He's got freedom of speech at public university, right? Wrong, according to Antifa. They destroyed Berkeley. They set Berkeley on fire. Fire, people. This thing was insane. If you haven't looked it up, Google it, Milo Yiannopoulos, Berkeley, and you'll see that the whole campus was destroyed, absolutely destroyed by these thugs. All because a gay, conservative, Jewish man with points of view they disagree with came to speak. That's all it was, really. But they thought he was a Nazi. Last I checked, there weren't that many gay Jew Nazis. In fact, there were none. But I digress. So they did that. They made Berkeley a mess. And they, that's when things started, the right really started to pay attention to these people because the right had targets on their back, specifically Trump supporters. But then a few weeks later, the now infamous Battle of Berkeley happened, where the alt-right, a bunch of Trump supporters, and a mix of other people, honestly, it's really hard to tell who's in some of these groups. So I'll be using a lot of labels here, and I apologize, but that's the only way I can talk about this in general terms. And the alt-right and Antifa basically had a battle. No exaggeration. Antifa was throwing M80s, hitting people, punching people, and the alt-right, which are scum, and I disagree with them too, who made up a portion of that crowd. I really don't know how much. They were there to defend themselves. They were there because they said, you know what, we know there's going to be Antifa here. We're holding it, because it was a free speech rally. The right was holding a free speech rally. The general right was holding a free speech rally. So they had alt-right people there basically as like right-wing protection squads. And I'm not saying that to justify their violence, to justify anything. I don't justify any type of violence. Violence is wrong, unproductive, and stupid. And they were basically out there fighting these people, in just a battle. It was just a battle. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Again, like I said, Tim Pool is out there. He has great live feeds that he does when he goes to these events. If you want to see what really goes down, just check his live streams out. Antifa was throwing M80s to these people. M80s. Those are bombs. They can kill you. They can hurt you really badly. Very dangerous stuff. And so while that was happening, like I said, there was kind of a battle. Then they all went into the streets, and one Antifa moron threw a smoke grenade into the street. And the funniest moment was from that because it literally backfired on him. The wind blew in the wrong direction and right at Antifa, so the smoke was all going towards them. I said, these people are morons. They're idiots. I mean, my God. So stupid. But that happened, and then the right, they were all fighting them and kind of simmered out. Then another battle, Berkeley, happened. More violence kept happening. Little incidents in Portland and other areas happened. But this has been going on for 18 months, okay? This was no secret. Reporters, though, weren't on the ground because they are cowards. They don't want to report on this. It doesn't fit their narrative, and they don't want to go into any danger. But Tim Pool was there. I give him a lot of credit. He's the only guy that really went down there and actually got hit, put his live on the line, and actually reported something that nobody else was talking about. Nobody, except people on the right. Say what you will about that, but people on the right. And what then later happened was that we had Charlottesville. And that's where I'm kind of pivoting to now to connect to some recent news. Charlottesville, I want to settle clear up a bunch of dirty air here, because people have been getting so much false information, so much fake news, they don't know what happened. They don't have a fair analysis. I was following it that day. I was watching it. I was taking, my notes and looking at to see what was happening. Basically, the alt-right was hosting an event there. And many people were saying on the right, don't go to this event, guys. This is a bunch of Nazis. This is a bunch of wackos. We don't associate with these people. They call it a Unite the Right event. Well, all it did was divide the right. And it was just a bunch of, these fringe Nazi racist people there. They're fringe. Like, these people came from all over the country, this thing. I mean, they had to really, search through every nook and cranny to find some Nazis. Like, oh, none over here, none over here. Crap, we're going to find some. And they finally found enough to actually have a rally, a Unite the Right rally with that moron Richard Spencer. And they had their rally. This was theirs. They got the permit. They have the right to do this, people. It's freedom of speech. They got the permit. They were good to go. Nothing wrong. Nothing. Were they saying hate speech? Sure, but hate speech is free speech. The Supreme Court ruled that hate speech is free speech. Nothing wrong with it. They can say it. Even if it's disgusting and deplorable, they can say it, as long as they aren't inciting violence. Now, what happened? You had those tiki torches at the pre-night, which looked pretty stupid, to be honest. And, they were provoking people and trying to make themselves look cool and edgy, but they really didn't. And so that was their, sort of like poke at the bear. And so then Antifa came. Antifa came and and everybody on both sides had shields. They had bats. They had weapons. They were ready for a brawl, okay? Both sides came to brawl. Both sides came to fight each other. That's no secret, people, okay? Both sides. Many sides, as Trump would say, too. There were many sides there that were violent. They came for a fight, and that's what they got. So they started dishing it out. And that was happening for a while. Then some sick moron decided to take his Dodge Charger and drive through a crowd of people and then killed a person. And when I saw that, I was disgusted, absolutely disgusted that somebody died from a protest of ideas. That's basically what it was. You hear people in the news saying, oh, but the left was fighting fascism. Guys, they were using violence against perfectly fine, peaceful protesters. There is no justification for violence. Those people that they're protesting are scum. But they have the right to be scum. They have the right to say scummy things, okay? That doesn't mean you beat them up, okay? Just because they're Nazi doesn't mean you punch them. Just because you disagree with them doesn't mean you can punch them. There is no justification for violence at all. Unless, of course, it's self-defense, but that's a different story, and that's not what we're talking about here. So that guy drove his car into a crowd and killed a person, and for no freaking reason. I mean, this person is a murderer. This person's a sicko. And I'm glad he's in jail. I'm glad that he's going to rot for the rest of his life, hopefully, because of this, because it was absolutely terrible. But, it's a big but here. There was many sides there that were violent, okay? It wasn't just the right. Obviously, Nazis are the worst, and a Nazi, neo-Nazi, whatever you categorize this guy, killed a person, that's the worst. Of course. But there were still bad people on the other side. There were bad people on the alt-left, on the right, on the Antifa, on the Nazis. There were bad people all over the place there. And, dare I say this, there were some good people mixed in. There were some decent people there because the main protest was about the Robert E. Lee statue. Some people just wanted to stay there. That's perfectly reasonable. I mean, we can have a debate on that. And that's what really should have been happening there. A debate of ideas. Should this statue stay here? Is it, should we have a Confederate guy on here? Is it something we should learn from by having the statue here? Or is it something disgraceful? Like, why would you want this loser, as a statue here? That's a debate you can have. That's great. That's how things get solved. That's how we come together as a nation. That's how we learn our differences, understand each other, and hopefully reach a conclusion. Okay? That's what should have happened. What actually happened was a bunch of guys use use, that's a key word here, they use this statue to stage a battle. And that's what happened. A battle happened, okay? There's no getting around that. It was a battle, both sides, with some good people caught in the mix of it. And what you had was the alt-left, the Antifa, doing what they do best, which is be violent, okay? And for people to deny that and for attacking Trump, I thought was one of the stupidest, most annoying things I've ever heard. Because what Trump said the first time, his first speech was, I condemn hatred, bigotry, and violence, and all this bad stuff. It's basically what he says. He doesn't, he condemned all that. That was a great statement for the time, because right when he said that, I don't have the timeline perfectly in my head. That may have been before the car crash happened. I don't know, so don't hold me on that. But it could have been before, it could have been after. But the facts out there were so vague. Like, even when the car crash happened, I was seeing people on both the the right wing accounts and like the new media, and which were saying that they think it was an Antifa driver. That was the first reports I heard. Then you learned it was a neo-Nazi alt-right scum. So there was obviously a scumbag in that car, but we didn't know which. So fine. And, the facts were, we didn't have all the facts. We didn't know exactly what happened. So I think Trump made the right move that day to say what he said. Then they complained about him and blah, 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 blah. That's all I heard on CNN for those 2 days. And then he came out and specifically condemned white nationalists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, KKK, all those racist scum. So they weren't happy after that. They said, because this is exactly, I knew this was going to happen. Scott Adams predicted it. Steve Bannon predicted it. I predicted it. Many people predicted this, that they would say a couple things. One, it wasn't soon enough. And second, it wasn't forceful enough. You people cannot be satisfied. I mean, what do you like? What is enough? What is the the goal line? How hard does he have to condemn these people? He's done it for the past 20 years. I mean, there's so much footage of him saying, "I condemn racists. I condemn neo." So I gotta get my Trump voice on. I condemn racists and I condemn neo-Nazis. They're bad people, and I don't like them. He's done it so many times, people. So many times. And he did it a lot on Sunday. And then he had that press conference, which was awesome. Oh, that was so good. He was unloading on the media like a freaking firing squad. Like, I mean, they didn't know what hit him. He was just going. I've always said he's got to do more press conferences because he's so good at them. He just picks them off like, boom, CNN, boom, ABC, boom, CBS. He just keeps asking questions and just shooting them right down. He is killer good in press conferences. But he even called like CNN at one point, like the person kept interrupting. He said, "Excuse me, I'm not done fake news." It was so funny. I mean, he's hilarious. That's one of his biggest talents that nobody talks about. He's hilarious. And he uses that to the best of his, ability. He just does amazing at it. But, and in that press conference, he said there were bad people on many sides. There were alt-left and, neo-Nazis. There were alt-right. There were people on all these sides that were bad. It's what people got to understand is Antifa isn't a unified, structured group. They don't have leadership. They don't have, like a company where they have a CEO and a bunch of people below them and a bunch of people below them. There's no organization here. It's a very vague group. And that's why you kind of have to paint the left, the violent radical left with the Antifa or alt-left brush, because you really don't know what to call these people. And that's the same with the alt-right. They're very ununified, very disorganized, very vague how you define them. So Trump did the right thing in labeling them that way, and he did the right thing in that press conference and all these other things. He was great at delivering a clear, consistent message. So I think he handled the whole thing fine, personally. What he said, there was nothing wrong with what he said. The only thing he did wrong, you could say, is strategy-wise, which is he left the hole open for them to attack him on this stuff. He shouldn't have left that hole there. What he should have probably said when we didn't know all the facts was, we don't know all the facts. If there were Nazis there, I disavow. they're bad, they're scum. If it was an alt-left person, they're bad, they're scum, disavow. I think that would have been best, but what he did was fine, okay? And the problem was with him giving in on that second statement was that he gave into the media. He gave them a bone. He let them win. He didn't not apologize like he normally does. And I understand why he chose to do that. It was probably the best thing to do, but at the same time, he gave in to them. And when you do that, then they're going to start taking advantage of that because you set a precedent. You set a precedent of, if you complain enough to me, I'll give in to you. And that can be dangerous. So that happened, but it's fine. But I'm just glad that, we've moved past that because like I said, what happened at that event was identity politics on the left and the right coming head on together in a nasty, violent battle. And it was absolutely disgraceful what happened that day. It really made me mad, and it formed a new hatred for me for identity politics. Because I hate racists, I hate Nazis. Obviously, I hate all these bad people. It's like Trump. It's like, do I have to point this out? Like, nobody in this country is racist. Nobody, except one tiny, tiny percent is racist. And look, they didn't have that many people in Charlottesville. They barely got enough people to look like that they had, a rally there. A lot of Americans are great people, as we saw in Hurricane Harvey. But like I said, I hate anybody that uses identity in politics. I hate. Like, I formed a really new hatred after Charlottesville because I couldn't define this sort of this sort of tactic. Like, usually it's on the left right now because they've been smart enough to use it, which is using your identity of race, gender, sexual orientation to push political things. It's kind of like affirmative action, or the gays coming out saying, I'm gay, like, you gotta do this for me because I'm gay, like, stuff like that. Again, I like gays, no problem with them, but I just don't like this identity politics just polluting the debate. Because what identity politics does is it makes people care and obsess over things that don't matter. They make things that don't matter, which is race, gender, sexuality, all that stuff. Because to me, when you're having a debate over ideas, it's about ideas. It's not about race, it's not about gender, it's not about any of that crap. It's about whose ideas are better, what can we learn from it, what can we understand. It's a debate. So when you bring up, it's always the classic example of, when you're losing an argument with a liberal, they label you as a racist. And that's very true. I've experienced that. Like, I'm just having reasonable debates, and they call me a racist. I'm like, this has nothing to do with it. We're just debating ideas. I don't care about your race. I say that in a nice way, too. I just care about the content of your character. Guess who said that? Martin Luther King Jr. But I digress again because people forget about what we've come from. We've come from a man, Martin Luther King, who preached that all the time, that we're not going to judge based on race. And what people are doing now is judging on race. It doesn't matter. Race doesn't matter. It doesn't. What does that mean in discussing economics? Nothing. What does this mean in discussing, I guess the class of the country? Nothing. What we need to talk about is how to make these things better. That's all you need to talk about. You don't need to talk about race. So that's why I hate identity politics with a passion, because what it does is it brings up stuff that doesn't matter and makes it matter. And everybody gets really nasty over identity politics too. I know. For example, Richard Spencer, who's a white nationalist. I don't know if he's a white supremacist. It's very confusing. I don't understand the guy. I don't think he understands himself. He tweeted out a video of people that were standing outside saying, there's getting people to sign a petition to free oppressed Kekistanians. If you don't know, Kekistan is a meme that is a mockery of identity politics. Because people always say they can identify as, a man, a woman, a queer, gender fluid, or whatever. There's all these identities. I identify as black. I identify as white. So what the Kekistan meme basically does is says, okay, if you can identify as that, I can identify as Kekistani. It's kind of like the attack helicopter meme. There are where people are there's 50,000 genders, and they're just okay, now I identify as attack helicopter. Because you can identify as anything, so you can identify as Kekistani. So what's clever about that is that they mock it and show its silliness, because they show, one, it doesn't matter, what your identity is, and two, they make it sound like you can identify as anything when you really can't. So Richard Spencer, though, tweeted out this video of people signing a petition to free Kekistan. And what Richard Spencer's, put a hashtag, I think, on there, like hashtag free Kekistan. And his Twitter blew up with people saying, how dare you tweet that? What are you doing? This is stupid. This is silly. Like, people were freaking out at Richard Spencer over this because he's an identitarian. He's obsessed with identity politics. That's all he's all about, is white this, white that. Same thing with these radicals on the left, where it's all about black this, black that, Hispanic this, Hispanic that. And so when you tweet out something that makes fun of identity politics, and you have followers that are identitarians, they freak out. Like, they lose their minds. And that showed me right there that people are so touchy when you talk about identity politics, which is why I hate it. It's not that I can't handle the debate. It's just it makes people act emotional and irrational over things that don't matter. Simple as that. So, that's really why I hate identity politics. And I finally figured out the term identity politics through Sargon Vakad, a great, smart YouTuber that was talking about, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast I first heard him say it. And then I really understood like what that was, and it really opened my eyes to like classify what that was and made things a lot more sensible. But what I want to bring you to full circle is that I hate this sort of battle over these identity politics. So that's why Charlottesville made me pretty mad. Like, I usually don't get too emotional over news or anything. I mean, I'll get passionate, but certain like stuff like that really just bugs me, because I just wish we'd be done with all that now. Just start talking about the issue. Stop talking about things that don't matter. I mean, my God, people. But what I want to get to about that, and that's why, because we had Hurricane Harvey, and that, like I said, it washed identity politics out because it showed Americans helping Americans. It was just so beautiful, such a 360 from what we just saw. Like, I don't know how many degrees we can keep going. It was just such a dramatic flip. It flipped, like, of course it'd be 180, but this thing kept flipping. Like, it flipped so big that we moved way away from identity politics to just Americans helping Americans because they were in need of help. It was just a love fest. People just loved each other. It's such a terrible time. But, well, the current event that ties all into this is that the Washington Post, who I'm not a fan of, had the most accurate headline they've ever printed. I'm going to read it to you. Black-clad Antifa attack right-wing demonstrators, peaceful right-wing demonstrators in Berkeley. This just happened like a few days ago. That is the exact thing I've been saying for the past freaking 18 months. And they finally printed that. Finally, they got it right. Black-clad Antifa members attack peaceful right-wing demonstrators in Berkeley. Thank you. Thank you for finally getting it right. Oh my God. It took us this long. And then what gets even weirder? Paul Ryan comes out, condemns Antifa. Joe Scarborough, Crazy Joe, or Psycho, was it Crazy Mika and Psycho Joe? Psycho Joe says he disavows the violence on the alt-left. Then Nancy Pelosi, of all people, comes out of the woodworks and condemns Antifa. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. These people that have said nothing, zip, zero, zilch, for the entire past 18 months had finally condemned them. I was shocked. But then, interesting story out, Politico came out, which said the DHS had classified Antifa as a terrorist organization back in 2016. Wow, we're just learning about this now? What guys? Why didn't we know about this before? And then I realized, oh, that's why Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi and all these mainstream media outlets decide to disavow Antifa. Oh, isn't that weird? They all knew this story was coming. They all knew that if they didn't disavow, they'd be supporting a terrorist organization. Let that sink in. To quote Paul Joseph Watson, I was shocked, again, like I said, about their, oh, we disavow, you all left us, violence, it's so bad, oh my God. I was like, what's going on here? This is really weird. And then you see DHS classifies them as a terrorist organization. Oh, I see what's going on here. Makes sense now, doesn't it? It was really shocking, but I like seeing that Washington Post article, but then this all started to make sense because they didn't want to be caught supporting a terrorist group. So I'm glad they disavowed, but they waited 18 months too long, okay? Like I said, we've been talking about this for months and haven't heard a peep out of these people. A peep. Nothing. They haven't said a word. Trump said Antifa's Arizona rally. It was so funny. He goes, he's talking about the violence and he goes, Antifa! I was just like, oh my God, yes! Yes, he finally said it. That was the only problem with Trump's original statement is they never called out Antifa, but he did. It was so good. Finally, we have somebody that called them out. Finally. And I don't want to give these people publicity, but somebody's got to condemn them. Somebody's got to go after these people, stop them. They're committing violence. They're beating people up that they disagree with. You had Eric Clanton in Berkeley that hit people over the head with a bike lock. He just hit people over the head with a bike lock, like whack-a-mole, like wham, wham, wham. All because they disagreed with him. You had violence in the street. Berkeley was a war zone. A war zone. And now they've finally woke up to it. What took them so long? It's been disgraceful. I've been reading about Antifa for the past 30 minutes, and I've had to because nobody's talked about this. We've talked about this on this show. I can't. Let's think about this. A college amateur radio show in Pennsylvania was talking about Antifa more than the mainstream news. The multi-billion-dollar corporations of Time Warner and CNN and all the Fox News. Well, Fox, I'll give them credit. They covered it somewhat, but not as much as they should have. Okay, let me say that again, though. A small college radio station in Pennsylvania was covering Antifa more on a weekly basis. We only had a weekly show. These guys had it all day. Then CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC. We were covering it more than them. Let that sink in. To quote Paul Joseph Watson again, I mean, holy crap. That is something. Okay, well, I guess real news here is better than the fake news. I mean, I already knew we were better than the fake news, but real news is doing a better job than the mainstream media. Let that sink in. Oh my God. This stuff makes me boil because it's just it's lazy reporters that don't care about their about the truth. It's lazy reporters that don't care about reporting the news properly. They just care about their careers. They just care about getting that nice little anchor spot on the CNN table. Oh, it's so nice. They just care about getting a raise, getting a better job, pushing their image, getting more opportunities. They don't care about you. They don't care about reporting things accurately. Oh, God, why would they do that? They don't care about anything but money. It's all about money in the end. It's about ratings. It's about getting good sponsors. It's about getting good viewers. It's about getting a good name so you can keep furthering your career. It's all about money. It's all they care about. I mean, these are businesses. That's the beauty of the news is that it's not government run except PBS, but, that gives some competition there. But the beauty of news is that it's a free market. But the problem is they're all in it for money, so that's all they care about. So that's what makes the CNN, staging the rescue a little suspicious, because that'd be a big ratings boost. That'd be a viral video. They'd love that crap. I mean, Jeff Zucker's probably eating that crap up. Oh my God. Ate up more than his hot tequila for lunch. I mean, holy crap. I mean, hot tequila, you can't eat a tequila. That's a bad analogy. It's been 2 weeks, people. Too much. But that's like Jeff Zucker just eating that hoagie. He'd eat this story up quicker than that hoagie. Oh, I'm putting on my Alex Jones impression now. I've actually been watching a little bit just to see how crazy that guy's been acting. I mean, Alex Jones is an interesting fellow, by the way. If you want some entertainment, Don't watch CNN. Don't watch Fox. Watch Alex Jones. That guy is funny. He is freaking crazy, but he's freaking funny. He is hilarious. So, guess what? Somebody made a song about Alex Jones. They took crazy things he said and made it into a song. This is Super Deluxe. And Super Deluxe made a song of all the crazy things he said. And they show the video, so it looks like he's like singing the song. And they make this funny, catchy tune called Jones Ivor. I'm going to play that in a few seconds, but it's funny. And Alex Jones embraced it. He's like, these people are Super Deluxe. I got to work on my impression. They're red-pilling people secretly. I know about this. And I'm proud of them. They're patriots. And so at InfoWars, we're going to launch a contest. And that's what he did. He launched a contest about the song, instructing people to make covers of it. And he just announced the winner the last, I think it was like 2 days ago. And it's just funny. So I'm going to play that out as we end today of Real News. Catch us back next week with more real news, true, honest, and not fake news. I'm going to be more awake next week, more energized, and back for my guests. I'll see you then. Thank you for listening.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot-bellied goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more real news.